Waiting for my coffee. Hello, 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 hello. Right, I think we are live. How did I actually have my phone? So I'm just going to run off and grab my phone. But if you're here, it's the Fast Track FBA Facebook Live. So I just want to quickly grab my phone. But if you've got any questions, do drop them down below. So anything about like Amazon, selling on Amazon, VAs, USA. We even started doing some wholesale, so you can ask about that. Just drop it in the comments down below. I'm just going to quickly grab it and be straight back. If you want to know, right now I'm in Florida. I've just kind of landed here over the weekend, been to Miami and now in Jacksonville. But yeah, so let me questions. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Like, right. And while I grab my phone with my wireless headsets, I'm also going to grab I'm taking a break from coffee, by the way. And I'm trying to drink some teas for a week to see how it goes. So let me know if you too are having a break from coffee, or if you're like, no, Tom, never. But obviously, I do like my coffee. So today it's really bad. I'm drinking a chamomile tea. Right, we've got some questions coming in. Let's do it. Wild Oak, hi. Why does Amazon remove buy box from items, and should we be avoiding to sell anything without buy box? Great question. Why does Amazon remove the buy box? Why does Amazon remove it? Well, quite simply is the case that the general way Amazon talks about the buy box is the fact that Amazon say if they believe the price is not competitive, then they will not show the buy box. So what does that mean? Well, if you want to know, Amazon does scrape other retailers, and if they find the price cheaper elsewhere, then they will remove the buy box. So like it could be like $30, $30, $30, and then all of a sudden Walmart are doing it for $10. And let's say, for example, it's not being sold by Amazon, it's a third-party seller. So buy box at $30, buy box at $30, no problem. And then one day it goes on Walmart for 10. Amazon might hide the buy box to say, hey, it's not competitive. Ironically, Amazon will always show the buy box if they're on it. Pretty much most of the time, I have seen it where they've hidden it even for themselves, which is quite hilarious. But they do remove it, and it's generally because it's not competitive. Now, number two, should we avoid? Not at all, not at all. There is a lot of money still to be made. People still want to buy that product, and they will still go the extra clicks, i.e., seal sellers, etc., etc. But for you, what you want to be looking at is go on the keeper chart, look at the time when the buy box wasn't there. So you'll see like buy box, buy box, buy box, buy box stops, and then no buy box. What you're looking for is green line movement, sales. If you're seeing sales rank movement, you're generally going to say that it's still selling whilst there is no buy box. So it does happen. And it's quite common to see sales, but generally speaking, you'll see that the sales aren't as high as they were when the buy box is there, because the very nature of like the customer has to click more just means people drop off. Hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments down below, Wild Oak. Viton James, hiya. Richie Resells. Had an IP complaint this morning from another third-party seller. The item in question was a bundle of Cadbury's chocolates. Yeah, and I'm guessing this is a bundle of Cadbury's chocolates, but it's under their brand name. And because it's under their brand, i.e., when it says like, say for example, you're going to buy like Cadbury's chocolates, and it'll say like brand Cadbury's, but it won't say Cadbury's. It will say brand Tom's Chocolates, Tom's Chocolate Selection Box. And as a result, it's now my brand. And it's like a lot of people are teaching this kind of like unique bundling. So you create your own unique bundles, which is fine. And then what we're seeing is a bit of black hat, whereby they're creating the unique bundles. And then in addition to that, what they're then doing is logging like problems with the real listing that you should be using so that no one can sell on that anymore. Now, obviously, their unique bundle is the only one available. And the net result is it causes problems. So I hate to say it, there's not really much you can do, not that I know of, because you sold under, at a very fundamental level, you sold under someone else's brand. Even though like the products themselves are Cadbury's, people put two Cadbury's together and called it Tom's brand, and now it's Tom's brand, not Cadbury's anymore. And because you sold that, you get the IP complaint, they can log it, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So it's a real shame. The only thing you might possibly do is like get a lawyer involved and like do it outside of it off Amazon. But I don't know the legitimacies of doing that. Like there's nothing, as far as I'm aware, there's nothing you can do within Amazon that's going to remove that. Amazon won't remove it because you're against the brand. But if you were to get a lawyer involved and go after them as a company for some reason, like like loss of earnings or something, and say, look, we're willing to retract the complaint if you're willing to retract the IT, fine, and then that might work. But obviously, to say that you've never learned it. But I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm not a professional. Seek professional advice. That's just thoughts, not professional advice. Richie Resale, the third party seller doesn't own the rights to the brand, but they claim to have trademark in the bundle. Yeah, agreed. So hopefully that understands. Like they own the rights to the bundle, which is like, it's just stupid. Like, and I understand what you're saying, but Amazon's this big behemoth right now that they don't really care. Unfortunately, they will when it starts becoming a bigger problem. But right now, out of all the battles they've got to fight, that one isn't really a big one. So the only way it's really going to affect is if it starts affecting customer experience. But Amazon don't care too much about the sellers. It's more about if it affects the customer, if it affects Amazon's bottom line, then it's going to be a problem. But right now, Amazon making sales, they're not really going to worry. So I hate to say, you're probably just going to have to be really careful in future. And like this does happen. Yeah, thanks. No, thanks for joining. Thanks for the question. Honestly, Richie, sorry I couldn't really be nicer. The only solution I think you could possibly do is by doing the legal thing outside. It's the only thing I can think of. And maybe they might be like, well, we don't want to. In the UK, you could do small claims courts, but I would probably get a lawyer involved. But it's a lot of money, hassle, and risk for like literally just a one IP complaint. So hopefully, if you're only one, you're like, don't worry about it. Wait 180 days, it'll be gone. But if you did really want to move it, that'd be the way I'd do. But hopefully you haven't got enough IP complaints to make it worrisome. Dan King, hi, got lots of questions for y'all. When you become VAT registered and buy from a retailer, do you get that VAT back in the tax return? Great question, Dan. So at a very fundamental level, the way it works, let's say, for example, I don't know, I buy a phone. The phone costs £1,000. I pay cash £1,000 because you're in Europe, VAT, and I'm guessing in the UK, £1,000. Now, the phone actually costs 866, for example, and then you add 20% onto the 866, which now makes it £1,000. So what is it? Well, the phone costs 866, could be 833, and then there's tax on it of 166. I think it's 833 plus 166, which makes the total price, including that 1,000. But the phone is 833, and the tax or the VAT on it is 166. Now, what happens is that obviously now as a normal business, I would pay that. I'd say, cool, I made £1,000 in revenue, of which 20% isn't 20%, it's 16.66, because it's 20% on top of the cost of goods, which is 16.66 of the whole value. That then goes to the government. But before I pay that to the government, I'd also say, hey, I also bought, I bought a pen for £10 and I paid, or call it £12, and I paid £22 tax on that pen. So instead of paying the whole £166 profit I made from selling this phone, for example, I would then say I made 166 profit, but I also paid £2 so I can reclaim it. Now, generally, that's the way it works. You can reclaim more than what you paid back. So the government give you a check, basically, and that's how VAT fraud works. I.e., people inflate how much they paid. But for you, like that's the way it works. Generally, in trading businesses such as Amazon, you're going to make more. You'll sell something for higher than you buy it for. So the amount of what's known as input VAT you'll pay is less than the output VAT, which is how much you pay on the sale, and then you only pay the difference. So you only pay how much you owe. Hope that makes sense, Dan. It's not the easiest thing. Do have a look. Do have a look on Fast Track FBA's YouTube channel. I did create a VAT. It's about 2 years old. It's a really good video. It very clearly explains this, and it uses a phone Margos, and it shows you all the VAT, what you need to get for like invoices, and what you need to show on the invoice in order to claim it back. What's the right type of invoice? Do check out. It's a really good video. It's like VAT things. I've also as well, if you want to know, there's a video that I've done recently. I think it came live last week, and the second part's coming live this week with Dan Gilmore. He stayed under the VAT threshold. He's now gone over the VAT threshold, and we talked about what life is like now 2 years after and going through that whole journey. So I'd really recommend watching those two videos plus the VAT one previously. I think that will really help you as well. So Alwis, thank you for the live stream. If a listing has like 13 sellers and all are doing FBM, should I jump on as FBA seller? Will I get the buy box? Yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't. And in theory, you should be able to get the buy box at a higher price point than the FBA, FBM sellers. So potentially up to like 13%. I think for you, the top tip I'd really recommend is play with it. And if I just kind of give you a really good example, think about it from the user story of a customer on Amazon. So I live in Mexico, and a lot of the time I will just click Prime only. I want like next day delivery because I want it quick. I don't want to wait for FBM because sometimes they're horrendous here. So by doing that, what it's going to do is like now that listing currently won't get shown. So if you're going to be a phone, for example, it's only FBM, well, they're going to say, nope, there's no FBM seller's not showing it. But because you've ticked that filter option, now that listing's going to show up, and when they click on it, they're going to show through to you and your listing. So all the FBM sellers are going to be removed because they're not next day delivery, but yours are. Obviously, if they're sellers fulfill Prime, they will. But for you, generally speaking, when I talk about 13%, you can actually play with it and you can be higher. And while you might not win the buy box, you can still make sales. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, definitely, I'll try it. Do a test purchase. Dan Keane, what percentage of products would you say fails, as in you have to sell break even, or doesn't sell a lot slower than predicted? I don't really talk about slow. Slow, we don't really mind about. Slow isn't a problem. I think I did the analysis. So I did the analysis. And when I talk about it, I do the analogy. If you buy 10 products, of which like 2 are really good, 6 are as expected, 3 break even, and 1 you have to lose money on. And that might not add up to 10, by the way. But that would mean 10% of my products I'd expect to lose money on. It isn't. I think it's like 4%. Don't quote me. I think it's about 4% of my products we lose money on. I don't know how many we break even on, but I do think we lose about 4% of the products we lose money on, which, to be honest, is really good. Like every time I put a pound down, there's a 4% chance I'm going to lose money on it, which is incredible, like absolutely incredible. So yeah, and there's the percentage that we do better than expected is much higher. In regards to, I can't really tell you like what percentage of products you have to sell in regards to speed. But give me 2 seconds. The one thing I will tell you, let me load up a report that I have, which talks about, it's called aging stock. So if I kind of give you an example of aging stock, so units in inventory. So we're looking at my Amazon UK business, and right now the units in inventory are quite low. So we've got 5,800 products. This is not SKUs, this is actual physical units in stock, which are between 0 and 30. We've got 3,000 between 30 and 60 days, 1,400 between 60 and 90, and 220 over 90 days. So to kind of give you the maths, under 90 days is 10,400, over 90 days is 222. Now, we generally kind of think about our stock, we want to get it sold within 3 months in 90 days. So you're kind of looking like, that 222, I'll do it now, 222 divided by 10,400, that's 2%. 2% of my stock is over 90 days old. Well, I think that'd be probably a fair assessment. Just looking back in the history, like 3 weeks ago, yeah, it was 4% actually through a couple of like 2 months ago. So between 2 and 4% of my stock is over 90 days. Kind of gives you an idea. Hope that helps, Dan. Good question. Ishak, how do you avoid multi-variation listings, as it's hard to tell which variations getting most sales? We don't. Oh, do you avoid? Sorry, not how. No, we don't. We still sell on them. There's a YouTube video I did, like how to estimate sales on variation listings. Really old, like 3 years ago. Check it out. At a very fundamental level, Keeper's really cool at this. Go into multi-variation listing, go down to Keeper, go to, I think it's variations tab, and then I would do like 90-day reviews, and then look at which one's got more reviews over 90 days. Then I'd do it out to 180 days, look at the same again, then I'd probably do a year. And what I'm just trying to do is just trying to get a feel which product's selling more, and by selling more is which one's got more reviews, because reviews imply sales. If you work on a 1% review ratio, for every 1 review is 100 sales. So like, okay, this, out of like 10 variations, this one's got most of the reviews, I reckon that's the best selling one. That would be a good estimation. You could do that over 90 days, 90 days, etc., etc. So that's how I do it. And then again, I test purchase, and then I just look at the data and reorder off that. So that'd be my thoughts. But good question. But don't worry about it. Wild Oak. I have found a few wild differences between estimated monthly sales and tactical average and seller amp. Who should we believe? None of them. None of them. Like, and why? Because you've answered the question in your question. Estimated. It's all estimated. We don't know the answer. I think for you, you should take them as a guide. Whenever we do purchasing, we'll look at like seller amp. We don't use tactical arbitrage, but we'll do like seller amp, and then we'll go look at keeper and be like, do we think do they look right? And then once we understand they look right, we'll then go, okay, cool. We'll do a test purchase, and then we'll buy, and then we'll go, yeah, that looks about right. What's really interesting is and then we'll go look at the actual sales data, i.e., how many we're selling. And what's really interesting is you start to look at the keeper charts more than the sales amp, seller amp's really helpful. You can kind of look at the keeper chart and go, wow, that thing's really selling, or like, I don't think that's selling that much. Just by looking at the movement, you're like, that thing's on fire, like, wow. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to train your brain from looking at sales charts to looking at results, looking at sales charts, looking at results. And when you start seeing, and when you see those sales that you're going, wow, you see your sales going ding, 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 you see lots of sales, then go back and look at the SKU, look at keeper, and you're like, that isn't really, or like, wow, that's selling, and I can really see it selling on the keeper chart. So do that training, give yourself that feedback. It's really, really important. But I don't know the difference between tactical arbitrage and sales rank. I don't use tactical arbitrage, so I can't really comment about that. But I think for you is you've got to take a range of data points, and then you're making a best estimation from that. So it's completely up to you. I think they do a pretty good job on seller amp, but I would be stupid to say that tactical arbitrage don't, because my God, they've been around well longer than seller amp. So I think they do a good job as well. So I couldn't tell you the answer directly between the two of them. Dan Keane, what's your exact criteria? You don't mind lower ROI because you're accessing cash flow, but what BSR are you usually going for, and are you bothered by competition? We don't do BSR, we just do sales. Yeah, I think, look, the question comes is, let's say, for example, I've got like, if I had £1,000 in the bank right now to spend, I would want to make sure I invest that £1,000 the best possible way. So obviously you're going to be looking for the most profit from that £1,000. But if you ask the same question again, 5,000. Cool, I've got 5,000 in the bank. I want to spend that 5,000 the best possible way. Let's go 10,000. Cool, I want to spend the best 10,000 the best possible way. Let's go a lot bigger. Let's go 100,000. Okay, so this week I want to spend 100,000 the best possible way. And what if I were to tell you that next week I'm going to get another 100,000? You're like, whoa! Now I've got to try and spend £100,000 in the best possible way. That's the way you're looking at it. Like, the conversations you're having at probably £1,000 cash in the bank is going to be very different than the conversation you have at £1 million cash in the bank. And if you knew you were going to get another million next month, because you know that once it's sat in the bank, you're not making any money. But if you're going to make even 5% ROI, that's better than nothing. So, like, we don't really have an exact criteria that we source to. What we do have is we look at different metrics, and I've always talked about it. Spend is one of our metrics. Why? Because I'm very interested in just getting the money spent. But what does it do? And we're seeing it in the UK now, and I think a lot of people probably follow the same mantra, is that they are, what do you call it? But they're just, the prices are crashing. We're seeing a lot lower ROIs in the UK than we are in the US. It is a very different marketplace. So I think something to think about there. But yeah, like, my whole point is I'm not really worried too much about the individual product. I'm looking more about trying to maximize my ROI on my investment as an overall. That makes sense. Samuel Coombs, I started selling on Amazon since Jan. Cool, well done. I've noticed when reviewing a number of deals on Keeper that they started tanking. Is this common for this time of year, or is Amazon becoming more competitive? Both is right. Number one, Amazon is becoming more competitive. Like, we did an analysis the other day. Someone asked this question, and I think I looked at, it's like Jungle Scout or something, like how many Amazon sellers were there 5 years ago and how many Amazon sellers are there now. Take the total revenue of Amazon, divide it by the number of selling accounts, and you work out average revenue per selling account. And I think it's gone down by about a third. So it was 5 years ago, it was 3 times higher than what it is today, average revenue per selling account. So yeah, that was like one thing. So it is definitely more competitive. And then number two is the fact that this time of year, February is a really tough time. Everyone has like December, what do you got to think about? Everyone makes money in December. They do really well. Wow, boom. Number two, January sales come in. Everyone wants to invest that money. Number three, everyone's a bit like February. Oh, I've run out of cash. Inflation's coming in. Everyone's talking about that. Ukraine, Russia, prices are going up. Maybe I should not buy so much. And that's just having an effect. So everyone's got stock. Everyone's got money. They want to keep churning it. But the net result is that people aren't buying. So prices go down, supply and demand. So it is. But stay in there. Like honestly, summertime it will pick back up again, and then December would be like, Q4 is low, when you're like, wow, I'm so glad they stayed. But interesting enough, I know people who make more money than Q4 and 1, 2, and 3 combined. So that's what they say a lot of times. So just be mindful. If I have a good competing price, but my competitors have more reviews, like 100,000 reviews, will I get the BuyBot Pro? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on if you match their price in your FBA. Sorry, I don't really see why not. So I would try it. I think it'd be beneficial. And I think for you is I definitely do a test purchase. I think after like FBM, good price. Yeah, FBA, sorry, good price. You should be fine. I wouldn't see a problem. Just match their price and see how it goes, and then keep playing. Again, you've got to find out. And the reason why is I say this today. Tomorrow, Amazon might change the algorithm, so I don't see why not. If that makes sense. Yeah. Hi Tom, D4902. I've received three IP complaints, I'm guessing, and a product safety claim against my account. And some of these are requesting full invoices, which I cannot provide because I have just a retail receipt, which they are not. Okay, cool. You've got a couple here. I'm doing OA and I'm using eBay as a supplier. I found a profitable product which I wish to bulk buy from eBay seller and have it shipped to FBA directly. Is this a good idea? What key points should I consider telling the eBay seller as it'll be my first time doing it? Okay, so let's just be really crystal clear. When we talk about Amazon, first things first is what you want to think about is Amazon as an opportunity. And for you, making sure you've always got that opportunity available has got to be your core criteria, because it doesn't matter how much profit you're making. If you're going to lose the opportunity to make even lesser profit in the future, i.e. because you can't sell, then that's a big problem. So whenever I talk about to my team or anything, I always talk about IP complaints are about account health. They're about risk exposure, how volatile we are, or how dangerous our operations are. So we want to minimize IP complaints at all times. So for you, you've talked about, I've got 3 IP complaints and a product safety claim against my account, and they're requesting full invoices and I can't provide them. I've only got retail receipts. So I think you need to change the way you're sourcing, or make sure that if you do source that way, you can get the proper invoices or get proper receipts. I just don't it's not worth risking your account. You can't shut down an Amazon account and restart it. Amazon won't let you do it. If you want to have the one guy we use is a guy called Jeff to support us. So www.fasttrackfba.com/Jeff, Jeff, fasttrackfba.com/Jeff. It's a guy we use. It does link to him, but there's no affiliate. You can't do affiliate or anything in what do you call it? In the US, it's against the law because he's a lawyer. So I think number one, in regards to IP complaints, I'll probably have a chat with him, see what he can do. I don't know the exact answer, but I think number one, trying to solve them would be very important. Number two, stop doing what you're doing, make sure you can get your credit receipts. Let's move on to this bit here. So I'm using OA, I'm doing OA, and I'm using eBay as a supplier. I will just put it out there, using eBay as a supplier is very, 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 very dangerous. And I'll explain why in a second. So you found a profitable item, which was a bulk buy from an eBay seller, and have it shipped directly to Amazon. Now, the only people I would ever, ever, ever buy from eBay are the outlook stores for the big name brands, and whereby you are directly buying from the likes of, in the UK, Argos, Debenhams, John Lewis, all the kind of big name department stores, and they're going to give you a proper legit invoice, and that because you're buying from them without question. I mean, you don't even have to think about it. Every single product you buy is legit, completely legit. Yeah, we get that. That's fine. Now, if anyone you're buying from me, most of the people you're going to buy from eBay are going to be other eBay sellers. Now you just like um, you have no way of proving what they've purchased is legit, and the result of that is what they're selling you don't know is legit, and because you don't know that, even if they're telling you it is, because you can't prove it back to the manufacturer, which is what Amazon wants to see, by the way, then Amazon won't accept their invoices as proof of authenticity of the products. So for you, is like, I don't, if it was me, I wouldn't be buying. We don't buy from UA suppliers, and I'd really recommend you don't. And so that's the points there. In regards to like shipping directly to Amazon, you can do like, and I still don't recommend this, but I think you can. Like wholesalers will ship directly to Amazon. They'll put stickers on the boxes and charge you a fee, and then Amazon will do the labeling for you. That can work. But I don't think, from the eBay seller directly to Amazon, I would ever want to do, just for the simple fact that I don't think the products you're buying are legit. And the reason is that eBay seller ain't stupid. They're going to know they could probably sell them on Amazon if they wanted to, but they know they can't. So they're happy for you to take all the risk and they still get the money, even if they're not making as much profit. So personally, my thoughts are don't do it. I'd say don't do it. Yeah, and if it's like the likes of like, if you are buying from eBay, from like Tesco or Argos outlet or Debenhams outlet, I don't think they won't do what you want to get them into Amazon how you need them to. So long story short, it's a no, like it's not really going to work. I've never heard even on the grapevine, anyone being able to do it. I know people being able to wholesale directly to Amazon without them having to see the product. That's fine, but not eBay. And I think I understand why, because the products aren't legit, or you can't prove it, which the seller already knows. Hope that makes sense, and sorry to do that to you. Dan King, thanks. Does help. Interesting to know you mentioned slow sellers as a fail because of someone like me with limited cash flow. It's a wasted opportunity, but it's okay for you. Yeah, sorry, I got to kind of remember. Look, there's lots of different ways to do it. Like the one that I don't think as a fail. Like you can have slow selling items, which are absolutely fine. Like there's no problem. There's nothing wrong with slow selling items. A couple of things you got to realize: Amazon Amazon FBA is fulfillment by Amazon. They have fulfillment warehouses. They're not storage warehouses. So ideally, you want to be keeping your inventory moving. So you can't sit stock in there for a year. It's not viable. There's no reason why you can't buy end of line Lego today, and people do this, by the way, sit in a warehouse for like 1 year, and then in 1 year's time sell it for 4 times the price because it's end of line, you can't buy it anymore. So that does happen, and that is a good example of understanding slow selling items and selling them. So but again, it's up to you. Like that model works when you've got a lot of cash and you're happy to tie it up for like a year under the idea of that. But on the other hand, is to say that if it was like, for me, we've got a lot of cash, but I'm more interested in turning it very quick. So I want fast selling items. If I'm a new seller with a lower cash flow, I'd probably be looking at, I'd just be mindful. I don't mind some faster selling items, but I probably wouldn't go too fast. Why? Because generally speaking, the faster the selling item, the lower profit you get and you're about turnover. So that's okay. And because also what you're doing, the faster you're selling it, if you're prepping yourself, you're adding more admin, more work. So I'd probably be looking for higher value items, which sell kind of like between 1 and 2 months. I'd be happy with that. Like, you're going to kind of sell through. So, but just higher value, like we can go for lower profit items. It doesn't matter. So it's just up to you, really. It really is. And I think the one thing which I want to really kind of you to take away is like, there are many different ways to play this game. Fast selling, slow selling, buy and hold. There is no one way. And for you, is about to really understand where you do like multi-pack, unique bundles. People complain about IP complaints earlier. There's so many, private label, wholesale, etc. Drop shipping legitimately from distributors and wholesalers. You can do that. You can't do it from retailers. There's so many different ways, and I think for you, the real question comes is trying to find out what works for you. What's that niche? Because there is no one size fits all. Like find your advantage and then play it. Keep playing it. D4902, accepting. I am still struggling to see how you larger sellers are able to scale up and avoid these claims. Isn't it a matter of time before arbitrage against it goes down? How do you avoid this? So a couple of things. Number one, so let me give you an idea. Let's say, for example, we were just buying, like we did, I think we're about to come up to 3 million soon in sales over 12 months, which is quite happy. So let's say, for example, we bought all our stock from 5 suppliers. Let's call it like Boots, Argos, Superdrug, and someone else. Doesn't really matter. We just buy more. That's it. We buy more. We might take less profit per item, but we sell more. And also as well, those suppliers provide us with the relevant invoices from the suppliers, OA sellers, which Amazon accepts. And also what we've learned which suppliers Amazon don't accept. So we stopped buying from them. So, and also as well, we're just really good at that. My team are really well trained in spotting brands, understanding how to do it. Not only do we have like brand checkers, we have the Fast Track FBA brand checker. We also have like, the team are just trained in keeper charts, looking at buying analysis. We do a lot of training on it, so it does make a difference. So yes, we still do get IP complaints, but also as well we pay for support, like www.fasttrackfba.com/Jeff. We pay for that, and he helps us out trying to get them overturned and get them removed. And let's just be really crystal clear. Let's be really crystal clear here, very very crystal clear, because we had this in my USA account. My admin assistant, when we got an IP complaint, my admin assistant was literally ticking the boxes on Amazon and saying yes, and that was it. And I said, stop this, stop doing that, because what you're effectively doing is just telling Amazon that you admit to what you're doing wrong. And I'm like, we're not admitting. We're going to fight this. And so what my admin assistant was doing was ticking the boxes and saying yes, thinking that would get rid of the IP complaint. And obviously it never did. They started racking up. So what we had to do then, also we had to get Jeff involved because they weren't doing anything exactly right. And we had to go fight all of them. And what we do now is, I think, don't quote me, but I think we don't tick the boxes. We go back and fight the complaint. We say, no, this isn't right. We're not ticking the boxes. We want to get this complaint removed. So, and when we talk to the admin girls now, the metric of success, the measure of success isn't ticking the boxes. The measure of success is how many IP complaints do I have on my account? And I will put it out there. The USA account has had, I think it's 2 IP complaints this weekend. We're now on 5, which is a lot. We had 3 this week. So we're on 5. We were on 2, now we're on 5. So it's like, oh my God. And that's only done 350,000 in the last 10 months. In the UK, nearly £3 million, we've got 1 IP complaint because we're just really good at knowing, prevention, minimizing, and once we get them, fighting them. And that's how we do it. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah. Dan King, you mentioned cash flow. Do you know how much about startup loans or how to get access to more capital? What's the limiting me on growth? 2 things, Dan. I really understand what you're saying. I think number 1, before you get more cash, it's about managing cash. There's a YouTube video I did on cash flow. It has a download sheet. You got to pay £30, $30 or $40. Download it. Trust me, it's a game changer. Use it all the time. It really helps out. So number 1, cash flow. That's really important. That's about managing the money you've got already more efficiently. We've had it in the UK or the US. My team have been like, we want more money. And we just kind of improved some metrics, managed the cash flow correctly. And now they're like, we've got too much money, we can't spend it. So it's quite an interesting situation. But just because of effective management, we've actually been more efficient. And then number 2, in regards to cash flow, we don't really do startup loans. Amazon loans in my UK business, we do Capital on Tap, Amex Platinum, Amex Gold. We do both of them actually. And what else? We've got a bounce back loan. You can't get that anymore. We've got an overdraft. I think it's like 25,000 in Santander. We don't actually use it at all ever. We got too much cash, and that's it. We have access to other lines of capital, but we just can't invest it quick enough right now. So that is something to look at. So people, Gavin Sweeney talked about it. PayPal loans, personal PayPal loan. You can do that. You can do a little cool trick with Stripe, getting money off a personal credit card and putting it into the business without having, just putting it as a lump sum. You can do that as well. What else? Yeah, there's lots of different capital ways. Even a guy who I met, he talked about getting high interest loans off his friends, 10% for a year. But it just helps out. You're going to make more than 10% back in a year if you know what you're doing. So absolutely fine. So there's so much. I would probably just ask a question in the group hey guys, how do you, what different forms of capital can you get? I think it's a really good question. Let's kind of go through. Richie, what method do you use to calculate how much money you put on one side for the quarterly VAT bill? We use zero accounting software. It basically, every time it will feed from your bank, you should, every single transaction you put in there, whether it's a vatable transaction or not, it'll also, so that's your purchases, and then obviously you use something like Link My Books A2X, you pull that in from zero, and it tells you what the VAT is due on sales, and then like you then work out the difference, and it will just kind of give you a running total through the months, and every quarter you pay it down again. And obviously you're going to need that to actually pay to do what's known as making tax digital in the UK. So we do that. So we don't put any money aside. We're just very good at the cash flow sheet I talked about before. It's very good at we can forecast how much it's going to be, and then even like worst case scenario, we'll keep spending money, and then if it's going to be a big bill, we've never done this, but if we needed to, 3 weeks before we have to pay the bill, we might just stop purchasing and let Amazon feed us the money, and then that money will go into that bill. Done. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. But the zero is what we use. Dan King, I've been looking into wholesale to increase my profit margins. Before I start applying for accounts, I'd like to know how to get best acceptance rates and what wholesalers to buy with. Wholesalers to buy with, I'm not going to tell you that because number one, I don't even know which ones we buy from. But number two is the fact that no one's really going to tell you it. And if they do tell you it, I'd probably not want to go look at them because everyone's got them. This is about supply and demand. If that wholesaler is supplying everyone in the world, you're not getting good deals. If no one knows about the wholesaler, you're probably getting a good price. So if someone tells you it, it's probably not going to be one that you want to know about. So like Jones's Wholesale, Harrison's Direct, they're the ones that would just share. I wouldn't even bother looking at them for any kind of profitable deals. Now, how to get best accepted? Call them up, go through the process. It's not very challenging. Generally speaking, if you've got like a limited company and a VAT registered, you're pretty fine. You don't need a website, but I would probably recommend at least don't have a Gmail account. Have like, Tom at fasttrackfba.com or your company name. Like at least do that. That'd be my minimum, and I think you should be okay. Abdul Wali, dropshipping is more profitable than online arbitrage, but most people are doing online arbitrage. Can you explain why? Because dropshipping is allowed, but you're not allowed to dropship from retailers who can't supply the products in clean boxes and without their name on the product. So to be very crystal clear, I have wholesalers or distributors who I've worked with in the past. We don't do it. I've done it before when I first started Amazon, like God knows how long ago. I was able, and I have had sales whereby I've listed the products as filmed by merchant, sold it, gone to the wholesaler, and then put in the delivery address of the customer, and they've shipped directly to the customer. And I've ticked the box in the merchant says remove all labeling. So they just literally ship it in a clean box, done. So that's fine because there is no labeling of the wholesaler or distributor on the box going to the customer. But if you were to do the same methodology, buying from Walmart or buying from like, I don't know, Debenhams or John Lewis, it's going to come in a John Lewis bag with John Lewis receipt, John Lewis everything. That is against Amazon's terms of service, and as a result, once you start getting customer complaints, and if I was a customer and I ordered my funky mouse from you, John Lewis got a sale on it, £30, and I'm selling on Amazon for 60. And then the customer buys it and I ship it from John Lewis to the customer, and the customer opens it up and goes, I just paid £60. That's really good. Oh, there's a bit of paper. What's in the paper? Oh, £30 from John Lewis. Quick look, £30. First things first, Amazon complaint. Why did I pay more money? This seems a bit stupid. Like, that very quickly gets your account shut down and you can't open up another account. So yes, you probably say drop shipping to a certain extent is more profitable because you don't have to outlay the money straight up. But the net result, but because of the liability behind the risk of doing the account, it's just not worth doing. Hence why a lot of people stop it and do it away. Dan King, how does the supply chain work in the UK? Obviously, you have to get retailers at the bottom and wholesalers above that, but where do you go? It's not as simple as that. Retailers can buy directly from manufacturers, like Asda, Argos will buy directly from the manufacturer. So the supply chain is manufacturer, Argos, you, Amazon, or manufacturer, Argos, customer. That's it. Argos don't buy from wholesalers. It doesn't work like that. So there's, you have like the resale supply chain and the direct-to-consumer supply chain. So direct-to-consumer would be manufacturer, Argos, consumer, and then you'd have manufacturer maybe to distribution, and then maybe distribution to the retailer, or it could be distribution to wholesaler and then wholesaler to retailer, or it can be manufacturer to wholesaler to retail to consumer. It's not clear. It's really not. Like in the IT world, it goes manufacturer directly to distributors generally, but also as well, you can buy directly from the manufacturer if you're doing big enough bulk, but generally don't. They always do everything through distribution because it's just easier that way. It depends on the tech stack, on the industry and the sector. They're not easy, but I think for you is about learning about that supply chain and how it works. But don't think because you're buying something from wholesale, it's going to be cheaper than retail. It isn't, because Argos can buy a lot more than Jones's wholesale. That's a fact. What's the highest point you could jump into supply chain sort of thing? Manufacturer. Done it. Bought stuff from manufacturer many times. I've actually been a key supplier to a manufacturer once when I did an old business, and then it does happen. So yeah, you can do it. Is there a search on Amazon to find my meltables? No, but if you type in meltables, there is a list of ASINs which they classify. We did a video on meltables. Just go back a few videos. There's one on meltables, and there's a link to a page about meltables, and on that page there is a link to an ASIN table of meltables. So look at that. That's the one that works. Dan Smith, the Amazon download, the whole thing. Yeah. So you know, yeah. Sorry, you just got to query. You got to query it. That's it. It's a nightmare. Good question though. You just got to search your ASINs. Jamil, should we start a business in the US using individual details, or go for an LLC? I can't tell you the answer to that. I think, look, I can tell you what I thought about. So a friend of mine called Seth Baker, he's an Amazon seller, sells books. Now, he's told me that when he has a UK business and he sells, he sells and buys in the US, doing OA model. Now, he said, Tom, basically like about 60% of all the potential bookstores that you can buy from don't accept international credit cards. They only accept US ones. So the result is you can only buy from 40% of suppliers. It's not the end of the world. He did $1 million last year in sales. So he's doing really well. So understanding that and thinking about that, I said, okay, well, is this still the case with normal OA? So I went to a couple of normal OA stores, and I noticed that quite a few of them wouldn't let you put in cards that are registered outside the US. You know, most in the US it will have like zip code. In the UK we use postcodes. They're different. It won't work. So you can't kind of hack it in. So I just kind of thought to myself, I was like, look, at the end of the day, where do I want to go? I want to be doing millions in the US. So if I want to do millions in the US, I need to be being able to buy from as many. I can't be limiting my supply. So the net result is I have to have a US based credit card. How do I do that? Well, I have to create a US company. Now you can kind of get around it if you're a bit kind of hacky. Don't quote me. Like, I think you could possibly do something whereby you create an Amex credit card and then you create an Amex US account and then do it that way. And I'm not 100% sure that might work. You could even do it with TransferWise and like use the debit card there, because that would have a US address technically by the bank account number. But I still don't think it's, but then you start getting questions around like if you want to do ungating with the wholesalers, then you're registered outside the country and a lot of them don't accept that. Also as well, the other one was even outside of ungating. You know, I met Amazon Lit. They're doing 50 million a year on wholesale. I know guys doing more than that. And the net result is that I'd probably want to go into wholesale at some point. So I'd want to build a foundation in my Amazon business whereby I can go into it. So why not start today? Yes, it's going to be higher cost, but so I'd just do it. And also on the other factor is like, you know, so that's wholesale. And then the other factor is like, where do I want this business to go? Well, hopefully I'd like this business to be the same, if not bigger than my UK business, because the market is bigger. UK business right now, we're looking about, say, 3 million. Extrapolate that, call it $1.5 million in spend, or pounds in spend over a course of 12 months. How many bloody how much money are we spending? How many credit card points is that? How much is in cashback? Like, that's insane. And I would hate in 4 years time, I'm like, I could fly, like right now in the UK, I could fly across the Atlantic every single month, first class, for free with the amount of points we make. And I'd hate to lose that and then be like, every year we grow and just losing more and more, like free hotels. This hotel I'm in right now, the one I'm in right now, is $500 a night. And we got an upgrade for free and I paid nothing for 5 nights. It's like incredible. And that's all with cashback points. So for me, that's why I created an LLC, because I want those points. I think there's so many more additional benefits. And yes, it's going to cost me more money initially, but long-term wise, it's all about long-term game, not initially. Hope that makes sense. Jedimenas. Sorry if I'm saying it right. Part one. Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you. Good question. I use only BuyBot Pro. I still do ONRA. I do not use Keeper. As to my understanding, BuyBot Pro uses Keeper charts anyways. That's correct. Yeah, they use the same data. I don't. I'd be very, very, very surprised if they didn't. Everyone uses the Keeper data. It's just they put it in their own kind of style. But it's still the same data points. Um, uh, okay, cool. I haven't got part two yet, so when you get ready to write part two, let me know. But yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine. You can use only BuyBot Pro, not a problem. I know people who only use SaaS, no problem. Danky, sold over 100 orders now, still yet to get any reviews in my account. Should I start emailing people who have purchased my product to get account reviews? There's a, you can, yeah, you can. There's a seller board. There's a video I did on seller board how to get reviews. They give you a 2-month free trial with my affiliate link, so you use it. Normally it's 1 month. But also as well, they'll automatically send the emails, and the link it says give us a review will go to your seller review, not the product review. So I'd recommend doing that one. Yeah, so do that. I think that's good. But 100 items, no things. Generally speaking, it's maybe 1 or 2 reviews per 100. I call it 1 per 100. I think some people go to 3 per 100. But like, don't be alarmed. Like, if you're up to 1,000 and you still haven't got any, then I'm like, okay, cool. It might also be the products you're selling. It might be products that you just don't really review. Like, I don't know, like bog standard tea bags that no one ever it's like everyone knows the tea bag, but if you're buying some like cozy chamomile herbal tea, yes, this is actually what I'm drinking. It's actually not that bad. Then people might be like, oh, I really love the chamomile. That's why they're going to give a review. So also your product mix can have an impact on the number of reviews you're getting. So like, if it's just box standard water, no one's going to review it. Tastes like water, done. So yeah. One of my listing titles has changed randomly to a German. Can't change as multiple sellers on the listing and brand needs to approve change. What else can I do? You can raise a case with Amazon Seller Central. That's about it. It's probably under the brand. It's under like the core catalog. That's it. But you can raise a case with Amazon and ask them to change it. See what happens. So I hope that helps. It does happen though. It's a real pain. Effany. Hi, go. Cool. Dan Smith. I coloured. We got about 10 minutes, guys. You got any final questions? Drop them down below. 10 minutes before I finish. I coloured the full Amazon meltable list one colour. My list another colour. Combined them on both one list and then sorted A to Z and then formulated true or false or true and then filtered by true, delete false. Cool. That's good. I like your idea. You can do the way I would do it is have one column which is the Amazon list, another column which is all your ASINs, and then just do a third column which is a Vlookup, and it says like Vlookup or like something like that. So it'll look it up in the list, and then if true is yes or something like that. I think that's the answer. That's how I've done it. Vlookup, and then your second column is looking up the ASIN. So if the ASIN exists, it will show the same ASIN again. And you're like, cool, that one exists. If it doesn't, it will just show blank. So yeah, that's the way I've done it before in the past. But I know your point. Abdul Wali, any comment on Amazon to Amazon drop shipping? Buying from one listing, selling on another, selling on the same listing and buying from Amazon. I don't. I'm just trying to think. Look, we don't do it. I know what you're talking about. Obviously, it's a limited game because in Amazon's ideal world, there should only be one listing for every product. So if I give you an example, like let's say for example, it's my mouse. If there's 2 listings for this mouse, slightly different name, in an ideal world, one of them will get shut down. So you're limiting yourself. So number one, it's not a long-term game plan, I don't think. Number 2 is the fact that Amazon doesn't like drop shippers from Amazon, i.e., you can't. Yeah, and I'm assuming you're probably going to be using FBA. You definitely can't do this with Prime shipping because it's against terms of service to use Prime shipping for the purposes of resale. It's clearly stated that, so you'll lose your account. So if you are buying something from one listing and using Prime shipping to ship it to the other customer, that isn't allowed. So you could do it without using Prime shipping. I'm not saying you should. I I think Amazon has a lot of detection around multiple email addresses, multiple addresses being put into accounts. They don't like it when you're using many accounts. Like it's like most people have an Amazon account and they ship it to their address, maybe the mum's address. They have like 5 addresses. They use them. That's cool. But if every day you're shipping to 20 different addresses, you're a business. You're not a normal user. And I don't think Amazon envision that's not what they want. They're not. You need even like the business side. You'll be shipping to a business address. Business selling business, so you can do it. I just don't think it's long-term sustainable. I don't think it's a good model. There might be quick wins in it, but I'd just be very careful. Those are my thoughts. Dan Smith, a real hassle. I was hoping there was an easier way. Thank you. Yeah, agreed. Dan, I'd prefer you do the VLOOKUp. I think that's a pretty quick way. And then if you just do VLOOKUp and drag it down, then you can literally just keep changing the middle one. Like you can just drop them in. It's formulaic, so you don't need to update it. It will just literally like change them. So you've got column 1 is all the Amazon ASINs, column 2 is your ASINs, column 3 is a VLOOKUP. Like if brackets, oh no, so just do VLOOKUP column 2, the one ASIN in column 2, and then it'll be comma all of the ASINs in column 1, and then the next it'll be comma and then 1 because you want it to show the ASIN again if it does, and then comma false, close brackets, and then just drag that down to all the ones to the same row as column 2. And what you're looking for is whenever there's an ASIN which is in column 2 and it shows up again in column 3, means it exists in column 1. So that by default, it's a multiple item. If it doesn't show up again, then it wouldn't do. So that would be the answer. And you could just keep changing column 2 automatically and don't need to rechange the formula. That'd be the way I'd do it. I think it'd be quicker and easier and very simple. Do you have any videos on how to make interactive dashboards to track VAs, KPIs, business metrics? Look at the USS, Ultimate Sourcing Sheet. That's what we do. It really does help. Like it's a lot around VAs, managing VAs. We look at actual profit. So forecasted profit and actual profit. It can really tell you like when they're putting the sell price too high or sell price too low. It's a solution we built for this problem because VAs, like the question I ask is how are they making money? And generally it does look at business metrics as well. It looks like what's working in a business, how to drive it forward. That's really, really important. So I think for you is, really look at that, and that would probably be the solution. You can, if you go to fasttrackfba.com, go to resort or fasttrackfba.com/USS, uniform Sierra. There's like an intro video, about 20 minutes long. You can start to see what we put in there and how it all operates. So do that. It does have an API link back to our servers, so it links to Amazon. So that's an option as well. Dan King, any Discord or any good selling groups you know of that I could talk to or join other sellers? There's a few. I'd probably say the one that I kind of see a lot of more in the US is a group called Arbops. I do quite like them. I think they do a really good job. There's a couple, and still kind of like getting to know the ones in the UK. I can't really talk too much because I've not had much experience. I'm doing some research into it. But I think Arbops are about $100 a month, and they're in the US. So yeah, if you do join, let them know that I pass on the thing. But I've heard some good things about them, and I know some really big sellers in there as well. So one of them I'm going to go meet here in Jacksonville, Florida. So a really good seller. But yeah, I think again, like there's a lot of communities out there, but again, it's all about your action, what you do in Excel or Google Sheets. You can do it in both. So by the way, so you're coming back to that. The USS is a Google Sheet. Google Sheet. Cool, we've got 5 minutes, guys, and then we're going to finish up. How come some listings have merchant fulfilled sellers then can provide a price a lot lower than the FBA price? Surely it costs them a fair amount. Assume nothing, question everything. Never assume it. You don't know how cheap they're getting their shipping. They might be doing it as a loss leader. They might be like, well, we just bought so many of these products and think we can get it cheaper than everyone else. Because you're thinking your buyer price is the same. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Yeah. Why don't you ask the seller and ask that question? I don't know, but assume nothing. Anyway, if they want to lose money in their business, it's up to them. They won't be around for that much longer, so don't worry. Talent, what do you think is the best software for doing online arbitrage from Amazon to Amazon? I don't think I know of any. I think maybe Tactical Arbitrage does it, maybe. I think you can do Keeper, but it's not specifically designed for that, but it can do that. I don't know. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be quite interested. Ishak, when you started Amazon, did you prep from your house or did you go straight straight to a prep center. I lived on a third-story house in London. It wasn't viable to have deliveries. But I have done a bit, but not many. Dan King, thanks for the help, by the way. I really appreciate answering questions. No problem, Dan. Glad I could help. Dan Smith, I tried those first, so I'm not good with these formulas, just learning them. That's cool. Yeah, I would. To be honest, Dan, I'm really going to recommend learning how to use VLOOKUP and Excel. It's going to really make your life easier. It's like learning how to use Keeper. I know it's hard. I know you don't want to do it, but you know the value in it. So like these little things make a really big difference. Like trust me, I can't push it enough. Philippe Acosta, do you check a listing's details before you buy an item to sell on Amazon? Yes, of course. You always check the things. You want to make sure they match. I found a good deal to sell, but it isn't doing well. Checking details here is just one keyword. Not okay. You're looking like keywords. No, we don't really do that. We do. So we check the front end listing, but like when you're talking about like it isn't selling very well, that's part of the checks that we do. So there are so there are two essentials: eligibility to sell and hazmat. They have to, they're not hazardous, so they have to have both of them. I know red, and then after that we check the three fundamentals: profit, ROI, and sales per month. So we actually want to make sure it has all three of them in decent things, and then we're pretty good. So once we know that, we're happy. So the idea is for you is like, it hasn't been selling well. You can do keyword optimization, but I wouldn't. We're not private label here. You should be reselling on listings which are already selling, not reselling on listings whereby they're not selling. So, don't get me wrong, we've all done it. We've all had these things. So take it on the chin. It's a learning mistake. Drop the price, get a sale, just wait for it to sell through, and then go invest in something that is actually selling. And when you look at the keeper chart, you're going to see that. So I hope that makes sense. Dan Smith, thank you. Ishak, can you recommend any UK prep centers? Yeah, there's a couple which we prep FBA. They're based out in Suffolk. They're cool. Like I know those guys. Who else have we seen? Kev Blackburn, Systemized Fulfillment. He's up in Scunthorpe. He does a really good operation. I mean, like insanely good. If you want quality of service, and I mean like they like video record every single box that they pack. He's the man. Like it's incredible. I was like, wow, like very top-notch service. Another one which which is good reviews. Fast Pack, PACK, Fast Pack FBA guy Dan Gibbs runs that. Dan Gilmore, Dan Gibbs. That's probably, I think for you is a couple of things when you're speaking to them, contact them, look at responsiveness, look for, you want communication, and also as well, like, just look for reviews, how many people, like, you're about to entrust these people with hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of your money in stock. So you want to make sure that they're good communication and generally they've got reviews and people are working with them. So that'd be my advice. Go from there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, one last one. Thank you for your help. Cool. It's been a real pleasure. It's now on the hour. I am going to enjoy the rest of my day in Jacksonville, Florida, before I go off somewhere else. But I will leave you same time next week, or an hour. Obviously, this is a whole hour session. I will see you same time next week. I'll be back in Mexico City, and obviously you can catch up with me. But hey, take care, stay safe, and keep smashing your Amazon business. Bye.